You think all living things get old, then die. Wrong, there is a creature. It barely obeys this rule. It doesn't age, will not die of natural causes, as long as the environment allows. He can live forever. It's not aging. I want to skip aging. He is water suction, 500 million years ago on Earth. He looks like a humble little tentacle. Organisms live in fresh water. The body is like a small, transparent tube. There are tentacles at the top. Swing gently with the current. But in this extremely simple body, hidden in a world that shocked the entire biological community, ability to surprise, theoretical biological immortality. Let's start with the conclusion that the human body, damage builds up over time. Decreased organ function, eventually die. And his body is almost constantly refreshing. It's not aging. It's about replacing. You are living with your old body, and he's living with his new body. That's the difference. So, how did he do it? The key lies in a core mechanism. Stem cell, unlimited update. We certainly have stem cells in our bodies, but the problem is, they're limited. And the number of splits is limited. Once depleted, there is no way to continue repairing the tissue. And his body structure is extremely simple. Almost all cells can be continuously replenished by stem cells. There are 3 main types of stem cell systems in his body. These stem cells are constantly divided. They simultaneously differentiate into different types of cells, such as nerve cells, epithelial cell. The key thing for the stinging cells is, it's a continuous process. No clear upper limit. That is to say, his body is rebuilding every moment. Old cells are replaced. New cells are constantly being created. You can think of it as a support. Continuing biofabrication systems. Look a little deeper. There's something genetic about this. Controls some of his body with genes related to cell division and maintenance. It's been highly active, such as the mechanisms associated with telomeres are the limiters of the number of cell divisions. Every split in humanity, the telomeres shrink a bit, eventually cause the cells to stop dividing. But inside him, telomere length can be maintained. This means that his cells, it doesn't age by splitting. This step goes directly around the core limitation of aging. But that's not the worst part. What's even scarier is that he has almost no age structure in his body. It's hard to find old cells in the true sense, because we're not waiting for the cells to age. He has already been replaced. And this leads to a very counterintuitive phenomenon. Scientists have long observed his population discover their mortality rate does not increase with age. In other words, he doesn't die any more icily because it takes longer. It doesn't work in most organisms. Let's take a look at a more intuitive ability. If you cut it in half, what will happen? The answer is that both sides survive, and each grows into a complete individual. This shows that his body, it's not dependent on a single core organ. It's a highly distributed system. Each part retains the ability to build the whole. Even chopped it up in some extreme experiments. As long as the cells are still alive, he can still restart, organized into a single entity. This means that his individual boundaries are blurred. It's not a structure. It's a living system that's constantly being reconstructed. This ability is extremely rare in evolution, because most animals, once their structure is destroyed, the whole cannot be restored, and he can reboot from almost any state. Here's a classic experiment in the history of science. 18th century scientists cut it repeatedly. Observe his regeneration. They even turned him upside down, or cut off the head. It turned out that he can reorient his body, regrow heads and tentacles. This shows that he has an acute messaging system. You can tell where the head is and where the tail is. This system, it's like an internal coordinate axis in a living organism, guiding the reconstruction of the entire body structure. And this is critical in modern regenerative medicine. Look a little further. Why doesn't he? Because of cells. infinite division becomes cancer. You might think, this infinite update sounds like a cancer cell. But here's the key difference. The problem with cancer control is not division. It was out of control, and his cell division is highly controlled. He has a homeostasis system. Cytogenesis, stable ratio between differentiation and death. Basically, new cells are created at the same time. Old cells are also removed in time. It's a sophisticated ecosystem. It's not a runaway system of infinite growth. One more key point. His nervous system is also constantly being updated. Yes, his nerve cells are not fixed. It's replaceable. This means that his neural networks are dynamically reconstructed. You can understand it as his consciousness system is constantly refreshing. That's almost impossible in higher animals, because once the nervous system is destroyed, difficult to fully recover, but his neural structure is simple enough. It is possible to maintain functionality, constantly replacing components, and this led scientists to ask a question. What if humans could do the same? What will happen? The answer may be to delay aging, repair damage, and even functional reset to some extent. Current research interests include how to activate stem cells in the human body, how to extend telomere length, how to control cell differentiation pathways, but the problem remains. The human body is too complex. Once cell division is released, it can lead to cancer. That is to say, we have to balance regeneration with stability. Find a balance, and he's already evolving. Found an extreme but effective solution. Let's look at a more interesting detail. The way he reproduces is also highly correlated with his ability to regenerate. He can reproduce by budding. A small organism grows on the side of the body, eventually shed into a new individual. This means that he can not only fix himself, you can copy yourself. And this copying process, it's essentially a controlled regeneration process. This ability, put him in a stable environment, can continue almost indefinitely. From an ecological perspective, his lifespan is not really infinite. He would still be prey on in the wild, affected by environmental change. But here's the thing. He didn't die of old age, but because of external factors. This is very important, because it means aging is not an inevitable outcome of life. It was an evolutionary selection. Finally, pull the perspective a little higher. His existence, in fact, they are challenging our default perception. Aging is inevitable. But in him, aging is not a necessary process. It's a mechanism that can be bypassed. Evolution doesn't make all creatures long-lived. It's about having different creatures take different paths. Some choose to reproduce quickly. Some choose complex structures. Some choose high intelligence. And he chose the most extreme route. Constantly update yourself. You are accumulating traces of time. And he was erasing it. In a sense, he didn't live longer. They're stuck in a state where they're not getting old. The problem is that if one day humans have really mastered this ability, will you still be the same person you are now?